Mullahs, your lordships are now looking at them as a group. They are not a group, they are individuals. There is no concept of a group within the legislature. Each is an individual. And government formation is based only on alliances. And therefore, Mullahs, calling a trust vote has to be based also on alliances, if it's been reduced to a minority. That's accepted now by Rameshwar Prasad, Mullahs. They could have followed, Mullahs, the Madhya Pradesh model. Resigned. No, but there they wanted to be chief ministers and posts, Mullahs, so naturally, Mullahs. they could have followed the other model. Well, that also is a constitutional issue which one day your lordships will decide. That's also another issue. The collective decision to resign as a group, well, it is something which is very suspect in constitutional law. Suddenly, all of them together one day decide we all must resign.
This is in line with Kyoto, unless we question Kyoto.
Well, I have always questioned it. I have always questioned it, but that's another issue, Malas.
But it also has a bearing on coalition governments,
yes,
particularly regional parties.
Yes.
Regional parties, this argument could sometimes be very dangerous also, because there is absolutely no freedom in the party, except for one leader. Many a times it's a family which runs it, and there is no scope of anybody else coming into the fray.
Well, in fact,
and setting up an alternative, because it's impossible. Virtually, we are interpreting the constitution to say that it is just not possible for any legislator.
Well, in fact, this has been my grievance. What happens, Mullahs, in the United States and in the UK, Mullahs, a president, Mullahs, of the Republican Party will reach out to Democrats to get a bill passed. The insurance, actually, Barack Obama had to reach out to the Republicans for his insurance bill. And in the UK, the same thing, the Conservative Party or the Labour Party reaches out to the opposition members. There is no such thing as defection. This is the problem. But anyway, Mullahs, we are in another era. Yeah. At the moment, we are on the law as it stands today. So we go back to the Gairam regime, where there is no 10th schedule, and you can actually move the governor for toppling any government you want at any time you want. Yeah, a few people. Mullahs, there is an NCP case where only four people of the NCP, Mullahs, actually went away. There were only 4 members. All of them went away. So it can happen.
So according to, going back to the Sarkaria Commission report, which was relied upon in Rameshwar Prasad, this was a post-electoral coalition of parties.
That's correct.
Of course, with the support of some independents as well.
Yes.
So according to it is only if any one member of the alliance and
shifts,
or one member of the coalition shifts.
That's right.
That the governor can then say that, look, as a result of one party in the coalition, one member of the coalition having shifted,
correct,
or ceased to back the government. Therefore, I feel now your vote in your confidence in the House, the confidence of the House in your government is now liable to be affected. Therefore, I call for a trust vote.
Therefore, he is not concerned with the 10th schedule at all, Mullahs.
Right.
With the greatest respect.
Right.
Governor is not concerned with it. That's a separate proceeding. Whether they'll be disqualified, they may not be disqualified. If they vote against the whip, Mullahs, within 15 days, I can condone it. Or if you have sent notices to 16, the others may say, now I don't want to lose my membership. They will come back. That arithmetic and that, Mullahs, the consequences are not relevant as far as the governor is concerned, or even the court is concerned. Court is to judge the act of the governor on the 28th of June, Mullahs. Whether that was right or it was wrong. And I might say this to your lordships, Mullahs. Mullahs, when we enter this courtroom, Mullahs, we are in a different aura. We come with hope, with the expectation that you are the only hope in this country. Power, well, if you look at the history of civilization, all injustices are based on power. Whether it was the execution of Socrates, why was he executed? He was executed because he didn't believe in the Athenian gods. He was executed. The same thing is happening today. Not in that sense. Where do we go? Therefore, this court's history has been so phenomenal, and your footprint is the largest around the world. You are the beacon, the hope of 1.4 billion people. And you can't let democracy be destabilized in this callous, uncouth fashion. I'm sorry, Mullah.
But then taking your argument to its logical conclusion, that means that the governor cannot really have regard to any individual movement of a group or a number of MLAs or MPs.
That's Bomai, Mullah. Yes, exactly. Para 88 of Bomai says that.
Movement lies within the province of the Speaker under the 10th schedule.
Internal dispute he can't deal with. Para 88 of Bomai, Mullah. Intra-party disputes he can't deal with. It's in my note. I'll succumb to it.
All right, let's go back to
yes, Mullah. Sorry. So, Mullah's decision of the governor is accordingly liable to be struck down. It is respectfully submitted that the respondent's reliance on the decision of Bomai to contend that the governor is duty-bound to order a floor test without regard to the pendency of disqualification petitions is totally misplaced. The respondents particularly relied on 119 and 121 for Justice Sawant's opinion and paras 391 and 395 of Justice Jeevan Reddy's opinion, dealing with court's decision on the situation in Karnataka. Now, 30 is important. As regards the situation in the Karnataka Assembly, the issue before the court was whether the governor, on receiving letters from certain legislators that they were withdrawing support from the government, was justified in himself coming to the conclusion that the government had lost majority and giving a report under 356 for issuance of a presidential proclamation. It is pertinent to note that the Chief Minister in that case had offered to test the government's majority on the floor of the House. Chief Minister himself, I'll test it. These are the facts of Bomai, Karnataka, which they relied upon. In that context, it was held by this Honorable Court that in cases where the support to the ministry is claimed to have been withdrawn by some legislators, the proper cause for testing the strength of the ministry is holding the test on the floor of the House. Because the Chief Minister said, I am ready to hold that test. And para 3 was there on that day of the 10th schedule. And Mullah, what did the governor do? 356. It's in that context that Bomai says, which is why I said the other day, these decisions are contextual. There's no general principle that can be applied across the board. There can't be. Freedom of speech is a general principle. How you will actually, Mullah, recognize it is the context. So, Mullah, in this connection, it is necessary, I'm quoting Mullah, I'm sorry. In this connection, it is necessary to stress that in all cases where the support to the ministry is claimed to have been withdrawn by some legislatures, the proper course for testing the strength of the ministry is holding the test on the floor of the House. That alone is the constitutionally ordained forum for seeking openly and objectively the claims and counterclaims in that behalf. The assessment of the strength of the ministry is not a matter of private opinion of any individual, be he the governor or the president. It is capable of being demonstrated and ascertained publicly in the House. So first you must reach a bona fide, constitutionally valid conclusion that this requires a floor test and on relevant considerations. If you are able to justify that to the court, then the only remedy is a floor test. Well, it's the next paragraph. I just read the highlighted portion, para 391 at the bottom. Whether the Council of Ministers has lost the confidence of the House is not a matter to be determined by the governor or for that matter anywhere else except the floor of the House, correct? Principle of democracy underlying our Constitution necessarily means that any such question should be decided on the floor of the House. The House is the place where the democracy is in action. It is not for the governor to determine the said question on his own or his own verification, which is what exactly he did by recognizing a faction. Now let's kindly come to para 32. Thus, S.R. Bommai is not an authority for the proposition that the governor must order a floor test whenever a claim is made that the elected government has lost the confidence of the House, irrespective of whether such claim is based on unconstitutional or extraneous considerations. Rather, S.R. Bommai, it was categorically held that the power under 356 cannot be used to... I just waste, we have a short time. My colleague has to also. I don't want to hog everything. Rather, in S.R. Bommai, it was categorically held that the power in 356 cannot be used to sort out internal differences in or intra-party problems of the ruling party. Para 82. If your lordship will just allow me to show that, if it's convenient, well, I'll show that here. Volume 2.
There's Bommai?
Yes.
We'll read Bommai here. You have extracted it.
Yeah, I've extracted it.
Yeah, we'll read it from your extract. Much easier. We've got Bommai, of course.
Yes, I purposely did it, Mala, so that otherwise you'll have
We don't have to
flip
go
around.
back and forth at all.
You have extracted it also.
Yes, I've extracted it. It's okay. Well, it's actually, I must give credit to my colleagues.
Yes.
Well, it's Mr. Tiwari, Mr. Devdutt, how wonderfully they have prepared this case. It's extraordinary. And I owe gratitude, sense of gratitude to them. Sort out internal differences or inter-party problems of the ruling party, and that exercise of this power for a purpose extraneous or irrelevant to the one for which it has been conferred by the Constitution would be vitiated by legal malafides. You're now looking at an intra-party dispute. They have come to you, they are 34, I recognize you, I recognize the leader because he is the leader. So the governor is recognized. I'm sorry.
Mr. Sibal, just give us a moment. There was an urgent order which
No.
I'll just show it to my learned brother, Justice Narasimha.
That's the morning.
Morning, yes.
Yes, sir.